know if you remember, but Zab Judah actually had that battle for Brooklyn or whatever against Malignaggi within the last year and a half, and he stunk at home in front of his hometown people to the feather-fisted Malignaggi, who's going to be fighting Danny Swift Garcia in August. But back to this one-time Thurman, I don't think that he did a lot to make his star shine enough to warrant a fight with Floyd. And you know, there's a lot of talk out there about this final fight from Floyd being on network television. I don't believe Floyd takes that kind of haircut. By haircut, I mean paycheck reduction. I don't see that happening. But it was a pretty good show. Like I said, Thurman wasn't as much as a boss that I thought he should have been in the fight. Collazo did land a liver shot, a nice body shot in the fifth round that almost, Keith Thurman, his glove almost touched the ground because of the way that he crouched down after sustaining that blow. But he did tough it out for the next 25 seconds. He finished the round, and then within a round later, they had a clash of heads. Collazo, pretty much in my opinion, even though he wasn't sustaining a huge beating, it seemed like he was nonchalant about continuing on. He said he couldn't see. The referee called the fight, or the doctor called the fight, or indicated to the ref to call the fight, and they ended the fight. It was pretty much a stinker for the show, to be honest. Dickie V did give his endorsement before the fight for Money Mayweather to reach out to Keith Thurman to make the fight happen in September and pick Keith Thurman as his opponent. Like I said, I don't know if this performance gets it done or not. I don't think so. Like I said, Amir Khan wiped the ring up with Luis Collazo. It did go the distance, but Amir Khan pressured, battered Collazo. You know, styles make fights is the old axiom that sticks to boxing. So, like I said, it wasn't a great look for Thurman. But in some regards, he still gets the victory. His KO streak continues, or his KO percentage, you know, holds steady. And we'll see what happens. On that card, up-and-coming kid from Detroit, junior middleweight prospect. His name is Tony Harrison. He got knocked out. This cat was on like it was almost a 20 or something, a streak of knockouts. He'd had two great performances on ESPN. Very confident guy. He talked a lot of stuff to Tony Atlas in his appearances, and it looked like he was on his way. But he fought another fighter, Willie Nelson from Cleveland, Ohio, that also I think lives in fights out of California now, Northern California. But the guy just didn't. He was in there with a vet, and these guys had it was a lot of contention. There was a lot of big talk in the presser, and Harrison just seemed like he couldn't figure out a way to get the vet out of there. Although the guy had been knocked down 3 times in his career, he let the guy stand around in front of him too long without doing, you know, some meaningful work. And the guy, Willie Nelson, landed some shots and got him out of there. I think that may have been I think it was a 10-round fight, and that happened in the 8th. So this young guy's career was kind of derailed. We'll see what he does to get back in the game. That was it was an okay show for PBC, but it really wasn't head and shoulders above what we typically get from Friday night fights, in my opinion. So moving on to number 1, before I get into my golf segment with my host, special guest Ronnie. With my special guest. Wimbledon ended earlier today. Novak Djokovic took out Roger Federer 3-1, and I'll hit on that quickly. But Fed was doing pretty well until there was a rain delay. And from the rain delay to the completion of the match, Novak was just razor sharp. And, you know, I made some jokes on Facebook about Federer still has the most beautifulest game in the tennis world to bite off of Keith Murray. I mean, Fed's game is just elegant. I mean, and graceful. But Jovac just seemed outworking. And like I said, after the rain, Federer just wasn't able to put it back together and hold off Djokovic. I want to say that might have been his first Wimbledon title, but maybe not. My biggest point that I wanted to get into before we jump into this golf segment, man, we need to put Serena Williams on the pedestal that she deserves. She's a killer. For all the talk, the conjecture on whether or not LeBron is a killer and, LeBron versus Kobe as a killer, LeBron's not that guy, all the questioning about whether or not Tiger Woods will ever win another major. Serena is that deal. I mean, flat out. She won her first title, her first Masters back in 99, and it's 2015, and she's still doing it to yesterday's win over, I think she was from Spain, Garbina Muguruza. It's got to be Muguruza. But she took her out in straight sets, 6-4, 6-4. This is the Serena Slam. She holds all the titles in one calendar year, all the Grand Slam titles in one calendar year. This is the second time that she's done that. You want to look at dominance, the first time she did it, it was 02-03. Here it is 12 years later in 2014, 2015, and she does it again. She's the same age as Roger Federer, 33 years old. Roger Federer is sitting here, he's getting to the semis, and he's getting beat in the finals, but Serena is running through these. She's playing with these children. I tweeted out last week that Serena was basically hosting an all-white party for the next 2 weeks in Britain. I mean, she just doesn't get credit. I mean, you look at who the class that she came in with, whether you want to go with Davenport, Lindsay Davenport, Hingis, Capriati, I mean, Sharapova, all these names that have come and went. I mean, even you throw Venus in there. I mean, Serena is just a killer. If there was a Serena jersey, I mean, I might have to rock with it. I mean, this young woman is just phenomenal. I mean, there's not a more dominant, whether it's a racing team in NASCAR with Jimmy Johnson and Gordon and those guys, whether it's a golfer, whether it's a basketball team, whether it's a football team. I mean, maybe you could throw the Patriots in there over the last 10 years run that they've had. You look at best quarterbacks. I mean, you look at LeBron. Like I said, we know LeBron. What he's 2-4 in these final appearances. I mean, Serena is just is a killer. So one thing that I want to touch on, and I'll move on quickly. I know it's just me in here, but it was an article on Facebook from a guy, and it was a pretty interesting piece. About Serena. It's just kind of something for me to rant on. It's a website called financialjuneteenth.com. And it's a Dr. Sinclair Gray III, life coach, activist, speaker, writer, and author. But he has a piece on here about why, and I guess you just have to write about stuff. You got a job as a writer, you have to take a position. But he had a piece talking about Serena Williams is number one. Why did Maria Sharapova make double in endorsements? And I just think this type of stuff is I understand it, I get it. But to me, it's a little counterproductive because so what? It's really not you can't make a company, you can't make companies, multinational corporations, you can't make them align their brands with somebody just because they're the best at what they do. They might be the best, they might not be the most marketable. So Dr. Gray cites the fact that Forbes reported that Sharapova has made $22 million in endorsements, while Serena has made $11 million. Serena is with Nike. That's all that really matters to me. I mean, you do the most that you can do with Nike. That's it. You look at the best programs in football and college basketball, the best teams are pretty much with Nike. So let's look at it from that perspective. The most dominant sports brand, the most dominant sports performance brand, Nike, has signed Serena. That adds up, right? Now, whether or not Gatorade has her Powerade or she doesn't have a State Farm commercial, she's not a damage specialist or whatever, so what? My thing is, we look at earnings on the WTA earnings, World Tennis Association. Serena makes up for it there. That's what her first job number one, her first job is be a great tennis player. She's earned $69 million versus Sharapova's $35 million. Her record versus Sharapova is basically she's the nail. She's the hammer. Serena is the hammer. And Sharapova is the nail. It's like 15-1 or something. So I get it. We can look at it and say it's unfair. But, and we get into what's really beautiful, what's the standard of beauty, blah, 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 blah. So what? You only can really be what you can be. Serena is dominant out there on that tennis court, on the tennis circuit. I believe. She's going to be heavily favored for the U.S. Open coming up here in a few weeks. I just think these kind of discussions kind of hinder the next wave of athletes. Let's just keep it on the field. We got Russell's trying to get his money in NFL. Every year is an argument about who goes to Disney, who gets paid to say that. Whatever. At the end of the day, are you successful in what you're doing? Serena's dominant. She has no peers. So, one thing I'll say this, and then I'll get into this golf thing. And you look at it. Tiger won his first Masters. His first Grand Slam in like '97, and he's been out here the last 4 or 5 years, trying to put it together. Serena won the Masters in '97. Serena won the U.S. Open in '90. 2 years later in '99, she's up to 21 Grand Slam titles. Needs one to tie Steffi Graf, and Steffi Graf handled hers when she was in the game. So in my opinion, it doesn't really matter this money on the side. I believe by herself, Serena, and that's the thing, and that's the last thing I'm gonna say. The hatred and the immature criticism and the online talk comparing Serena to a man, she's built like a man, etc., etc. Not only the opponents, but the crowds that Serena performs in front of, playing a game with that requires the precision that tennis requires. There's probably not a more mentally stronger athlete in the world. Maybe a Floyd, maybe a Kobe, but she is just phenomenal, man. That's my point. For her, the racism is there. The comments from the crowds. I know you've seen the stuff at Indian Wells. The fact that Serena, she's got to be the toughest minded competitor in the world. That's all I'm gonna say. For her to go out there by herself, she has no teammate. Her father isn't on the court with her. For her to do what she's doing, that's a tough woman right there. So shout out to Serena. Congratulations on another one. I'm excited to see what goes down in, where is that in Queens? The King of Queens is from there. Meadows? Not the Meadowland. The Craig Mack video was actually shot there too. Flushing Meadows. That's it. I'm excited to see what happens this year for her. Again, congratulations. So I'm gonna wrap that up. I'm gonna get into my my guest for this week, talking a little bit of golf. That's right, golf. Later on tonight, I'm gonna try to get this Power episode recap up. But thank you for rocking with me. Hit y'all off real quick.
You are listening to Hey, with show host would.